Hi, thanks for tuning in today to our podcast episode with Community First Bank of Indiana. We're calling it the Community Roundtable. And what that really means is that I am joined by my friends at the Community Foundation serving Howard and Hamilton County. And today we're going to talk about a partnership that we recently had the privilege of doing together. And then ultimately, really want to highlight the work that you guys are doing. This is really important to me. I have just a small role I get to play on the local community foundation, Howard County. For the past couple of years, I've got to serve on the Lilly Scholarship Committee. And I know that one of the objectives of that is to increase awareness of what the community foundations do. And so it's fun to have those students come in and just see a glimpse of what the community foundations do and kind of plant that seed early of what it means to support your local community. And so I love that we get to share that seed with just a few more people and kind of share about what you do. So thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Every member of your team that I've ever got to interact with is just so incredible. So could you just take a few minutes to introduce yourselves and your role?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Hi, my name is Amanda Massey. I'm the Vice President of Development and External Engagement for the Hamilton County Community Foundation, which is a mouthful. It's just so long, it's a lot of words.
Yeah.
Basically what that means is I work both with mostly individual fundraising, but some grant writing that we're doing now too, and then work with other folks on our team to do marketing, communication, social media, that sort of thing.
Awesome. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Danielle Stiles-Polk. I'm the president of Hamilton County Community Foundation, and I get the pleasure of doing all of the things that the Community Foundation does, which I will not say now because our whole podcast is going to talk about that. So,
Hi, I'm Emily Hemmersbach. I'm the Marketing and Communications Director for the Community Foundation of Howard County and also serve Carroll and Clinton counties. So I get to do all things storytelling and leading our communications efforts, making sure the community is aware of how we do things and what we do. And again, we're going to hit on that today. So I will pass this off.
Hi, my name is Catherine Calabro, and I have the privilege of working with Emily in the Communications Department as the Communications Officer for Howard, Clinton, and Carroll. And I really have been helping support Emily in all the initiatives that we're doing as far as what we want to do for social, all the new campaigns we have upcoming, and then just anything collaborative to help support the rest of the team. So
Awesome. Thank you guys. And we're here at the administrative headquarters of the bank in downtown Kokomo. So you guys had the long commute of what, across the street? And you guys drove here on the day that you're moving.
yeah,
This is true. Yeah. So we appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I am Lainey, the Director of Marketing at Community First Bank. I've been here for about 7 years, and so our team does so many things and wears so many hats, but one of my favorites is that we get to kind of spearhead our community partnerships and donation requests and what that looks like. Part of what we do is we also try to grow our customer base, so through advertising. And so what we want to talk about today was like the perfect moment of those worlds colliding. Like many banks, big and small, we regularly offer incentives. If you open a new checking account with us, it's our way to say thank you. We know there are so many options out there, and so that's how we say thank you. I really do think that that's similar to other banks, but we're unique in a way as a community bank. And so we'll talk about this promotion, but the seed for this kind of started in 2020. During the pandemic, we've always offered a gift item or some sort of incentive, but in those unprecedented times, we wanted to try something new. And so we started offering gift cards to local businesses as our way to say thank you and really to support the local economy. And to this day, if you come and you open a new account, you can still get a local gift card because we really feel like that's important to support the businesses that are planted here in our community. But a couple of years ago, we started a new tradition. And that's what we want to talk about today. In April, which is Community Banking Month, we wanted to bring our team in and then our customers in to the mission of supporting locally through nonprofit impact. So for any new account open, we as the bank have committed to donating $20 to a nonprofit partner, and this year we had the privilege of working with your teams. We have bank branches in Kokomo, Noblesville, Westfield, Fishers, and so 2 different organizations, but it really felt like one mission of, hey, if you came in, we could say, if you open an account today, we're going to donate $20 to the local community foundation. So thanks for saying yes. I reached out.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind when I reached out? I'm curious.
Oh, I think we were just
Yeah.
excited that
Yeah.
to be able to do this partnership. I mean, Community First Bank has always been a great partner to us in our local community foundation. So it was a super easy yes.
Yeah, agreed. And it was nice to know that there was, a social plan and like lots of different ways to promote it that were going to be baked into the whole campaign too. And that was
Yes.
part of the discussion from the start. So
Yeah, and moments like this were a part of it from the beginning too, of like, how do we have that monetary impact, and how do we have that education impact as well? Yeah.
Yeah, I loved being able to communicate with you and work on the education piece because I think that's really important in getting your team more educated about what community foundations do, because it is one of those things that's kind of the best kept secret in your local community, I think.
Yeah.
And so being able to teach people about it is something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again for saying yes. And from the bank side, our mission is we partner with you to build a better future. And even from our founding 23 years ago now, community first, Bank of Indiana. It was so intentional that it was community first. Partnerships like this are just so natural to who we are. So we said for every new account opened during this promotional time period, we committed to donating $20. Those funds were going to the unrestricted community endowment funds and then what you guys call the community initiative endowment. Could you both talk about what those are and why they're important?
I mean, I can go high level and then you can get into the weeds if you want. But for us, our community investment fund is what we put back into Hamilton County. And so as a community foundation, one of our core roles in the community is to always be on the forefront of what the needs are. So what the needs are today are not what they were 25 years ago and hopefully won't be what they are 25 years from now if we're doing our job at solving some of the issues that exist in our communities. And so we use this fund as an endowment, and so it will live forever. And then it is what we use then to invest in either nonprofit organizations, some of the leadership in our community, anybody who's really working to elevate the work in the community that is in the nonprofit space.
Yeah, same as what you said, in very many ways. We really, I like to tell people that these are an opportunity for donors to entrust us with dollars that are directed towards letting our committees make decisions about what the needs are in that moment in time. Like you were saying, it's changing communities, and so we know that, and that means that we need some flexibility, and that's where the flexibility comes in. When people hear unrestricted, I think it can sound like, oh, it's just a free-for-all, and it's definitely not a free-for-all. It is a very organized process that allows us to be reactive to community needs. For us, that involves our community conversations, which is a planning tool we use every few years to really engage the local community, from people that are being served at the Kokomo Rescue Mission to our elected officials, to make sure that we have had those conversations with everybody about what they dream about the community, what they are concerned about, and making sure that we take that information and that data, put it together, and review that periodically with our committees to make sure that they know what the community is looking for. And so that's something that we use as a guide star for our grant making, especially out of our unrestricted funds, which allows us to be impactful in ways that we hope the community feels, because we're being reactive to what their needs are.
Yeah. And just as a sidebar to that, I will say I'm so grateful that you guys do that work and share that knowledge. My 7 years at the bank, just the amount of donation requests that we've received have increased, and the need has grown. And so even from our side, you guys have become such a partner and a resource in helping us understand the needs and help prioritize in a way.
That was one of our first meetings.
I think that was our first
That's
meeting.
what- yeah.
Yes. And so that's become really important to us. So thank you for sharing that work and not only informing what you do, but helping partners like us.
Yeah, and I would say, anybody listening to this podcast, those things are, at least for our side, they're always available to community partners if they need something to help them understand what the community needs are. We have it publicly available on our website because we want that information out there.
I think the same, and we've even seen it recently in the nonprofit space where they've said they're doing the work, right? They're in food insecurity or housing or whatever it is, and they're like, wait, we used your needs assessment to be able to structure our strategic plan kind of thing. Like, it's bigger than just our own organizations for
I love
sure.
that.
So yeah,
that's great. And then also the timing felt perfect for this promotion too, because when we reached out, we learned that we were also able to take advantage of a Lilly match happening that would triple the impact of this campaign. So can you talk more about what the Lilly match is?
Yeah. That was a surprise to all of us because we were in good shape, right? We had a match, and a lot of our donors know about that. And I've been telling everybody, the community foundations are just as surprised as you are that we have another match available. But yes,
Literally,
yes,
the day after one
back.
campaign ended, the next one started.
Yeah. So, but we're excited to share that, and it's a great surprise. And so, I think it was a surprise for you guys when you guys told us this was an opportunity. But the match allows us. Lilly Endowment tells us, hey, we're doing this match. This is the type of funds we're matching. In this case, again, it's going to be unrestricted. So $2 for every $1 that is donated to those funds, up to a certain point for each county based on population. And so we have a certain amount of time that we have to raise those funds and make those match dollars come into those unrestricted funds to benefit our local communities.
The only thing I would add too, just for anyone who doesn't know kind of the history of Lilly Endowment supporting the community foundations in the sometime in the 90s, the Lilly Endowment seed funded a community foundation in every county in Indiana, which makes us very unique. I don't think any other state that functions like that with their community foundations, and over time have continued to be supportive of community foundations. And the whole goal is for us to all build our endowments and build our sustainability and be able to continue to support the communities moving forward. So they've been great partners for many years.
So generous.
If you
A
see
generation.
gift, you see us
you
talk
go.
about gift. It's called Giving Indiana Funds for Tomorrow, is what Lilly Endowment. So when you see us talk about
I didn't know
gift
that.
program, yes. Yeah, it's an acronym.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, no, I mean, it's with what you said, it exploded in the 90s. I mean, all of our foundations, the Howard Clinton and Carroll ones all started in the 90s because of what Lilly Endowment offered to the community. And it's just a really cool thing that we get to be a part of in a really unique state.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we were excited because we set out as a goal for this moment, this Community Banking Month promotion. We wanted to have $10,000 of impact, and that included the match. And I think towards the end of it, we landed at $21,000 of impact.
Nice.
So that meant we were able to cut from the bank $7,000 worth of checks to support your organizations, and then the Lilly match triple that, so $21,000 of impact. I think I was sharing with you guys earlier, but this has become one of our team's favorite promotions. So we not only love bringing our customers in because then they get to be a part of the mission of what we're doing, but internally there's always some buzz and excitement around this too. It really makes us feel like we're one team working towards our mission. You guys are a catalyst for improving the quality of lives in our communities. And so let's just talk more about what your organizations do, if you're okay, if we can just pivot to that. All right. So I know that you both have a lot of similar programming. I've seen nonprofit leadership training, student scholarships, so much more. But if someone has never heard of a community foundation, what would you tell them?
I mean, I can hit on it. I have
my
favorite.
ready.
I have my favorite spiel. Yes. So we call it the 3 G's. That's how we keep everybody in touch with what we do when somebody asks us, and that's give, grow, grant. So donors give dollars to us in many different ways, whether it's to a scholarship or different types of funds. We have donor advised funds, we have unrestricted funds, we have designated funds, and they all do something different, but donors give to them. We take those dollars and we grow them, and then we take a portion of the growth and we grant it back out in the community. And so it kind of becomes this circular give, grow, grant, give, grow, grant. And that's how we do what we do in a very short, easy way to say it.
nice. It would take me an hour.
Yeah, that's very succinct and very easy to remember. We do those things as well. But the other thing I think that is really interesting that we're doing is obviously we can't grant to every nonprofit that is worthy in our community. So we tried to find other unique and creative ways to support them as best we can. And so recently, was it last month, I believe, we started the Hamilton County Nonprofit Collective, which is really designed for lots of different people or members of the nonprofit community, kind of regardless of your role in the organization, to come and do like this really long, kind of, for lack of a better phrase, professional development series. But there's lots of things baked into it, from how to recruit board members, how to avoid burnout, and kind of take care of yourself, because so many of those
so important.
Leaders are doing really hard, really granular work that's just emotionally taxing at times too. And so it just spans lots of different topics. And we have at least one training a month. I think in July there's 2.
There is.
Yeah. So try to, again, come up with interesting things like that we could do to support the nonprofits. So you could probably talk about it even more if you want.
We have a very robust, and I'm assuming your counties are similar. We have a very robust leadership group for all of our nonprofits. And one of the things that we talk about all of the time that makes us special in Hamilton County, and can I say special too, is that our nonprofits work together so well. So I know there was when I first started, we had a breakfast with I think 5 different nonprofit leaders, just very casual. We were just having conversations. And the executive directors told a story about one family and how each of their organizations had single-handedly worked with that family. And the family, had a housing issue, so they worked with our housing organization. And then from that, they didn't have a cell phone, but our domestic violence organization has a cell phone program. There wasn't that issue, but that organization still helped that family with a cell phone. And just the fact that the people who are leading these organizations each together said, hey, I can do this, if you could do this, if you can do this. I think that makes the work so unique. And we have had a program that they were you guys have been involved in some of the trainings for them, that they were on their own trying to kind of navigate through their professional development. And so it's been great to work with that group and kind of bring everything together, and really in the same way that we listen to the community, listen to the nonprofit leaders about what do you really need and what do you need to do to elevate your organizations and kind of maintain what you're doing, get to the next step, because the need is growing and their work is harder. And to that point, sometimes it's how do you avoid burnout, and sometimes it's succession planning, and sometimes it's how do you recruit good new board members. And it's been a lot of fun to launch that and see the energy behind it.
And I think you guys can agree, as an organization, we don't want to be telling our nonprofit partners what they need.
Right.
No, it should come.
Yes, we want them to tell us.
Yeah.
And so we have also taken that time to have those conversations, have those forums, and build our programming around what they requested. Because we can think all day that we know, but we oftentimes actually don't know because we aren't the boots on the ground. And I make that very clear when we have conversations with anybody in the community, that we are just a conduit between donors and our nonprofit partners and our scholars and things like that. And I say just, I'm not making our team less than, but we aren't doing the hard work that is done every day. And so we have to always be aware of that and make sure that we're providing what they're asking for and what they're telling us the needs are.
Yeah. I love that story about the family, because it shows that it's not enough for them to say, like, we did our job for this family. Like, it shows that they really have passion, that they went above and beyond for the connections, and that's
And how do we
incredible.
support that? Because we're not, to your point, single-handedly supporting each of these individual families, but we can do the work with organizations to ensure they still can.
Yeah. And I think, just to boil it down even to just the very simplest terms of what you guys do, I want to say it was you when we were talking about this promotion. If it was Amanda, you take credit. But I think it spoke to the banker in me. But you said your savings account for the community.
Yeah, that came from a chair in Clinton County. It was actually one of our founding board members over there told me, because she was working for United Way at the time. She was actually the leader of the United Way.
Yes, that was very
And she told me the way she communicated it from her perspective was that the United Way was the community's checking account, and the Community Foundation was the community's savings account.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a really good way to explain it, because people often don't understand the difference. Because we're partners. I mean, at least we're locally partners with our United Ways, and people think we're competitors. And it's like, no, we share resources and work together. We just have different modes of how we do things. So savings account is a good way to put it. I think it's a little more complicated than that when you get down to the deep nitty gritty of it.
much more, honestly.
Yes. Your dollar's lasting forever, but yeah.
That was really helpful for us when we were talking about how do we make sure that our team is communicating what you guys do, and then how we can communicate that to the community. So that one stuck with me. So thanks for bringing that back. What brought each of you into this work? Does anyone have a story?
You start.
Okay. I think for me, I grew up in a household that everyone was involved in service. So my mom was a nurse and my dad was a police officer. And our home was very much a safe space. They brought a lot of people into our home, took care of a lot of people. For me, watching them give back to their community, I knew I wanted to do that in my work. So when I started working, I was really helping storytell, and I feel like in a way I was giving back to the community in that way by helping tell the stories of all these other people. But I wanted to be more in the nitty gritty, so when this opportunity came up, it gave me the opportunity to be helping steerhead those campaigns and initiatives, and so I knew what I wanted to do was serve my community exactly where I grew up in, exactly what my parents taught me, so that's what brought me here.
I love that. Thanks for sharing
Nice.
Yeah, I think we all have a very probably unique story to how unique but similar story to how we got into this. I came from a very in-depth healthcare background, so I was very busy and kind of hit burnout right after COVID, and was kind of just keeping my eye out for another opportunity. I didn't know a lot about the Community Foundation, but our former president, Greg Aaron, he and I had worked together years prior. And he called me up one day and said, "Hey, you want to meet for lunch?" I was like, "Okay, what you have up your sleeve, Greg?" And we sat down for lunch, and he had an opening here at the foundation, and he said, "Emily, it's the best place you could ever work." And I was like, "Okay." And so I started doing research. I'm like, "This looks really fun." We sat down again later on. I ended up starting, and the rest is history. I mean, I tell everybody that this is my career for the rest of my career. Like this is the path I want to be on. Philanthropy and what we do in our communities is so impactful, and I always tell people we can walk away from a stressful day. I get out in the parking lot and I go, "Yeah, it was a stressful day, but we still did good things."
Yeah.
And that means more to me than anything, because I get to walk away not with a heavy heart. I always get to I might have a heavy heart for the people that are hurting, but I feel like we're making an impact. We're moving the needle in some way, and that means so much to me in being able to have just good days and good weeks at work. So yeah, I love this field.
Your passion and knowledge for it. You could have told me you've been in it your whole life and that's what you went to school for. Like, that's incredible.
Would have thought that, yeah. So for me, I have in my professional career always been in the nonprofit space. So I think probably what makes us somewhat similar is that desire for kind of a service-minded career, which you don't always get outside of the nonprofit space. I worked in higher education for 11 years and served on the board for the Community Foundation. And so I was, I always say 5 years. I think it was like 6 or 7. It felt like and at some point in time in that, the opportunity to transition my career and work there full time. I grew up in Hamilton County. I've lived my whole life there. My husband grew up in Hamilton County. And so this is the one way that we can kind of affect the place that we have been in our entire lives and has invested in us, whether it was through education or people or friendships. And it was not on my bingo card to run a community foundation. But here we are. And I'm so glad you are. You're right. And I'm happy too. I'm having so much fun. And it has been a highlight to be able to really get embedded in the community. I always say there's one thing when you live someplace, but I always worked in Marion County, so working someplace else and then living and working in the community has just been amazing for the same reason that I talked about before, the stories of the nonprofits coming together and getting to support the work that they're doing. We have wonderful county leadership. We have great partners that come to the table, and every day is different, and I love that part. So
for sure,
one day you're doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
And then one day you're giving money away, and one day you're asking for money, and one day you're working with a nonprofit on something, and it's just it provides kind of that. What you were talking about, that every day you're doing something impactful, whether it's small or big, it just depends. But there's not a moment, I think, that if you sit back at 8 o'clock at night that you can't think of the one good thing you did that day in this world. And that's fun.
Yeah. I've worked with you all, but I'm learning more about you today, which I love. That must be really helpful because you've seen firsthand through your whole life in Hamilton County the immense change that has happened there.
Yes, I will show my age, but it has grown significantly since all of the 4-lane roads used to.
I was going to say
very different world for sure.
Yeah.
Danielle and I kind of have similar trajectories in that my whole professional career has been in some sort of nonprofit space as well. So that's included like a small social service agency where we were doing like drug and alcohol counseling and things like that, higher education, cancer research. So all of those, nonprofits share some things, but they've also allowed me to kind of learn different things along the way, from individual fundraising, grant writing, lots of stewardship baked in there too. So, but I had it in my mind at some point that if I was going to stay in that world, I really would like to be on the side or at an organization where we could give funds away and kind of see that side of it. It's right. It's all what we want to do. But those opportunities aren't, as frequently available. So when this opportunity came up, I was like, oh, well, this could be my opportunity to just do all those things together. And it is really nice to, I mean, I can legitimately say all of the places I have worked before now have really allowed me to like learn valuable skills that I can put into this job. So it's been really nice.
Yeah, and I'm sure deep empathy.
Yes.
For those you
Yes.
serve is at the top of the list there.
And nice too, just to be able to, it does allow you to kind of learn about all the different organizations that you can talk about with donors too. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that you learn kind of along the way. I think when you're working in the nonprofit space for a long time that you can apply.
Yeah.
It is nice to have been on that side
Yeah.
of the coin prior to coming to the community foundation, because it gave a different perspective.
Yep.
Like you're able to understand kind of the why behind what's happening a little bit differently because of that, so for sure.
Yeah, I have not sat on the nonprofit side, but we did sponsor some
Yeah,
training with you
yeah.
guys, and just being able to sit at the tables with those
Yeah.
executive directors and hear from them, I feel like I learned so much.
I feel like you're one of us now.
That means so much. Okay, well, we were chit-chatting a little bit before we started, and one question you perked up about, so I'm gonna.
Oh yeah, this is yours.
I know, but so the thing is, I think we've already answered it. Go ahead.
That's okay. Let's drive the point home. But what is a misconception that you think people have about?
About community foundations. To me, I think the misconception is that the main thing we're doing is granting money out to the community. And we're certainly doing that. But again, I think we've all talked about all the other things that we're doing and the way that we're connected to people in the community that maybe people aren't aware of. I mean, the number of people also that just reach out and say, hey, do you know someone at so-and-so? Or can you connect me to this person? Like, it's really having an in-depth and breadth of knowledge of what the community needs, who the people are in it, where we might be able to go to move an initiative forward. So yes, we're granting money, and that's very important, and it's a big piece of what we do, but I think it's just a lot more holistic knowledge about the community that I don't know if people realize that they could go to the Community Foundation and ask those questions and probably get the answers that they really need.
Yeah.
I think, and you guys might have a similar story. One of the things that, kind of building on that I don't know, a year ago, we went to a Del Webb community where they had this wonderful group of people that came together once a month to learn something about either the community or just in general. I think the people that were there before us were like the Indiana birders or something like that, something completely different than what we were doing. But it's a group of retired individuals. And one of the ladies who was there came in and said, oh, we recently volunteered at Gleaners, which is great, but it was like a 55 hour and 20 minute, whatever, bus ride for all of the people from the Del Webb community to go down there. And she said, it's just so far, and I just don't know if we'll be able to get people excited to do that again. And I said, hey, do you know there's a food bank in Hamilton County that serves your neighbors, and you could go there and volunteer, and it's 15 minutes away, and we can get you connected and all that. And I think being able to kind of be that connector is very unique, and people don't often necessarily think of that first with the Community Foundation. There's a lot of, at least in Hamilton County, somewhat of a lack of understanding of the need in the community and what the organizations are doing to support that, and how, we are very unique in that there is a senior serving organization, there is multiple food pantries, but a food bank, there is a domestic violence shelter, and often I think people don't necessarily see the work that they're doing in the community and look at other communities as kind of that service area. So it's been great to be able to make that connection for people.
I love that, and I hope that really is a takeaway for people, because sometimes I know so many people who just really want to be involved. I've been there.
Yeah.
Like, I moved away from here. I came back to my hometown in Kokomo, and I'm so passionate about the growth. And I've seen people want to get involved but not know where to start. And even at the bank, we give like 12 hours of paid time out to volunteer, and all the time people just, I hear, I don't know where to start. And so if they know that they have you guys as a resource, I think that's a great takeaway.
Well, people often, and I'm assuming you get the same, we get a phone call and they're like, we'd love to volunteer with the organization. I'm like, great, let me give you 20 other organizations you can volunteer with.
But you might know what that need is.
We know it because they need it differently than probably we do too. So.
Yeah, and I think we have a really unique position in the community, because we can connect you between nonprofits and elected officials and the superintendents of the schools, and we know all of those people. Somebody on our team does. It might not be one of us, but we all are out in the community in different ways every day. Our scholarships officers in the schools, our senior vice president is working with our grantees locally. We're working with our radio stations and our press contacts, and so it's like you can often call and somebody will be able to help you get connected or make an introduction for you, which can make all the difference in a partnership moving forward. I think so. Yeah.
I don't want to pat our own backs, but it feels like
You should.
Please do.
It feels like we always have an answer for everyone.
Yeah.
And if we don't, we're going to do everything
Find
we can to
it.
find it. Yeah.
Yes.
And I think that's the best part about working here. And I've only been here since late February, but I've come to find that everyone has an answer. I mean, even when a random person walks in the door and they're like, I want to start something, I want to do something, Emma's like, well, let me help you. She
Yes.
goes, let me tell you where to start, where you can really go to start. And she's
What was
like,
it when you started? Was it the roller
It was
skating?
the
or
roller
something?
skating rink, yes. And if you're listening, I hope that you get that roller skating rink started because I want to break all the skates. But yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, that reminds me of a story you were just telling us when we were chit-chatting before we started.
Yeah.
Can you share that about the person who called in and the impact you were
Oh
able
my
to make?
goodness, it's one of my favorite stories. It's kind of, it'll get me emotional when I talk about it, but we have a small grants program that started in around COVID time, and it was because we needed to be a little bit more reactive to the needs that were happening, kind of emergency needs. So there's different parameters in each of our counties. In Howard County, it's up to $5,000, and our board has given permission to our team to be able to make the calls on those without having to go through the board process, because those things sometimes are just really urgent and need to happen right away. And we got a call from a local organization who it was right before Thanksgiving. They needed a stove. Their stove went out, and they had a home full of people that needed to be taken care of, and they wanted to have a meal for them and things like that. So really big deal. Now this stove was more than our limit, so we said we can meet the $5,000, but they were going to need, I think it was between $10,000 and $13,000. And so, our senior vice president, Emerald, she got off the phone, and I know it makes her heart heavy when she can't meet the full need right away. So she went throughout her day, and that afternoon, a local church called and said, hey, we have some extra funds in our charitable that we'd like to do something with, and we're just not sure what the need is right now. Okay, number one, perfect place to call.
Perfect time.
Perfect place to call. And that's what I hit on that a lot, is like, hey, if you need help with that, especially, give us a call, because we probably know. And she was like, actually, we need XYZ for this organization. They need a stove. And they were like, we've worked with them before. We already know them. We love them. Like, it was just kismet. Like, it was perfect. And so she came into our office. We didn't tell the organization. They were coming to pick up our $5,000, and they came in and picked up the total amount they needed for their stove right before Thanksgiving. So it's just,
that's nice.
it's so special, but it just speaks to that collaborative nature. A local church, they knew who to call, and we love that. We love that they thought of us, and just it was a really special moment that all happened in a 24-hour span, where we were able to meet a need that was like a really deep need right before. Food is important, especially for a community like that. So it was very impactful.
Yeah. Do you guys? I want to give you the chance. Do you have any stories that
I'm
stand
going
out
to
to
switch
you?
from what
Oh,
I
okay.
originally intended.
Okay.
So maybe I'll talk too much and have two. We'll see.
That's okay.
I thought of this when we were talking, or when I was talking earlier about the food bank in Hamilton County, and when the SNAP benefits were cut last year. We saw a significant uptick in requests from our food pantries and our food bank and local organizations on how we would be able to work with them on that. And we also have a competitive grants program, and then a limited amount of funding that's kind of at our discretion in the same way to be able to support organizations. And I just happened to have a donor advised fund holder call us. So in Hamilton County, we have about 160 donor advised funds, which are funds that are live in the community foundation but are donor directed. And so they're not funds that we necessarily control, but we manage all of the investments and everything for them. And the fund holder called and said, I won't say what she exactly said, hey, we need to do something. And I would like to make a significant donation. And this was probably 2 or 3 times what her normal donation was going to be. And she called just to seek out help with where would it have the biggest impact in the community? And so we had a lot of conversations about, do you want it to just impact Hamilton County? Would you like to impact broader? Would you like it to impact a specific organization or all of the organizations? And so we landed on the food bank as being the right place for her to make her donation. And we had just literally probably 10 minutes before that had this conversation of how could we make a bigger impact, because we had these limited funds that we could do. And so we were able to make one other phone call to a family foundation that works with us and said, hey, if you could do X, we can get to a $100,000 donation in like 15 minutes. And so it was no question. They said, thank you so much for asking. We're happy to do that. And so with our limited funds, the donor advised fund holder and one of our family foundations, we were able to pick up the phone and call the food bank and say, hey, we have $100,000. And it's just, we don't get to say that. Our grants are small. Typically, we're usually giving, $20,000, $30,000 grants. And we just watched this group come together, and all of a sudden this was it was a splash at a time when people needed it the most. And I don't think it took it was less than a couple of hours. It's just a couple of phone calls to get that done. So it was very similar. Yeah. But when you are to the point of connection and, connected, have the ability to drive dollars where it's going to be the most meaningful, it just happens organically, and it's the most exciting thing. I think I was high from that for like at least 2 or 3 days, because it went in the newspaper, and we were able to tell the story, and then it started a conversation about things like SNAP benefits and food insecurity in Hamilton County and what that looks like, and it was bigger than just the donation, even though the donation was impactful, of course. But
doesn't that speak to our opportunities to elevate our nonprofit partners and our friends? I'm gonna bounce it over to you, and I'm gonna put the pressure on you.
No pressure.
Because Kat had this great opportunity in our annual report this year. It made me think of what you guys were talking about. Made me think of that to write about what happened last year with our SNAP benefits and meet with some of the organizations. Do you want to share just a little bit about what you got to learn about?
Sure. 2 people that are involved in our community. What they did was they both came together through like a Facebook post, and they were talking about, commenting about the SNAP benefit issue, and they said we have to do something. So they went to our Food Alliance, and they said we need to do something now. And they had this idea of doing this program, and they said, you're crazy to kind of think that you can do this right now. And they kind of said, well, watch us. And they got everything together, and they made sure that people were able to eat during this time, and it was beautiful and amazing. And from there, Emerald, our vice president, was at that meeting, and she said, okay, so what can we do? And from what I know, and I'm sure you can maybe add to this, but we were able to grant out, I think, $2,000 in like our emergency funds just to be utilized for this time. So it went to food pantries, and we worked with Food Finders in Lafayette, and we were able to also grant some money there for their traveling.
Yeah, we did. It was a crazy time. So I think it was a crazy time for most foundations. We were all having to be reactive to what was happening in real time, really. So talk about another crisis situation. But we were in the middle of our giving days, so we were like actively also working on our Howard Giving Day, which was with the match and all these things last year. And at the same time, I'm hearing in the back rooms as I'm talking to people out front, like, oh my gosh, we have to figure out how we're going to get all these checks out, But that's the goal. Is we were being reactive. We were able to partner with our Access Alliance and get dollars where they needed to go right away, so that people could eat. And what is more important than making sure everybody has food on the table?
And some of the great things that this initiative did was they were taking from local community places, so to help support the local community itself. So any small business that was locally owned, they were able to kind of involve them in this initiative to keep their businesses going during this time. Because I think that's a huge misconception, is that they can't use SNAP money for local businesses, but they do, they accept that. And so that was kind of neat to kind of help tell that story and how they were able to still keep everybody afloat during that time. And from there, they've now started their own thing. So they're going to be doing this as long as they can.
Wow, that's cool. Wow.
You said something that I think was so true, and we talk about this often, but there's so many days where we're like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on, and we're so busy, and there's this and that. It is the one place I feel like that you can be. It's not like Target on Black Friday, right? Like we're so busy, and that's awesome. That means we're doing really good things, to the point where I think I've said before, I don't want us to be less. If we slow down, then we're not doing what we were doing this time last year, and that's a problem. And so it's like a moment when all of these things come together, and it's work, but it's exciting, and it means really good things are happening.
It is. It's so busy. And I think when I came in, I thought See, I had my first job was working at a library, and so I thought, oh, like this is going to be. And libraries aren't slow. I'm not saying that, but like there's very intentional, like shelve the books and do the things, and like you come to the community foundation, and there's intentionality 100%. But it's something different every day, and there's it's so always fun. Busy, and that's what I told her is when she started. I'm like, just jump in the deep end, you'll be okay.
I love that. So if someone wanted to get involved, how could they do that? And then I know there's another Lilly match going on right now, so you could talk about how long that's going on. And
the Lilly match is going on till June 30th, 2028.
Okay.
So
So we got some time.
Correct. Okay. Just for awareness, it's for quite some time still, so that's amazing. So even though our campaign, has stopped, and we're incredibly grateful for all your support. If people are interested, we're still in that 2-to-1 match for our unrestricted endowment phase. So
And I would only just add, for the sake of if you're listening and aren't from one of our counties, there is also a community foundation in your area.
That's true.
That will be doing the same thing and having the same opportunities to match dollars towards their unrestricted endowment. So.
Yeah, and I hit on this a lot, and I'm going to hit on it really quick because I've talked about it on the radio several times. They've asked about it all the time. It is one of my passion things that when there is a natural disaster somewhere, to look for the community foundation. Mm-hmm. And I say this because when natural disasters happen, people tend to sometimes there's people that will take advantage of that, and it's hard to figure out how to get your money where it's supposed to go. North Carolina is an example of that. They have a community foundation. Now, their community foundations are different in different states. They have more of a statewide community foundation. But I pointed all my friends, they were like, what do I do? I'm like, this community foundation is accredited by the national standards. I know they will get your money where it needs to go. And they did. They had an emergency program set up. Any community foundation that you can find that's accredited is going to be your number one place. If your family in a county in southern Indiana has a disaster happen, get with the community foundation, because they're going to know the people on the ground. They're going to get the money where it needs to go. And that's our ultimate passion is, making sure those dollars are where they need to be when they need to be there.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing that.
I think if you have any misconception about your community, or if you think my community is not doing enough, my community is not collaborative, my community isn't very resilient, I think you need to call up your community foundation, because we are resilient when it comes to all these challenges. We can tell you about what our nonprofits are doing. We can tell you about ways that you can help with us and work with us. We can get you connected. So I just think if you think that your community is not doing enough, reach out to your community foundation.
Yeah.
And if you want to get involved, there's a lot of ways to get involved. And it's not just, being a donor, but like serving on a committee. There's so many different things that you can do. But if you are interested in donating, what I would say is our ultimate goal when we meet with a donor is to make sure that their passion is emulated in their whatever fund type they want to establish. If they're establishing a scholarship, we work with you to make sure that scholarship meets your goals, your passions. Same with a designated fund. Or, you might be a donor that just tells us, like, I just really care about my community, and we're going to tell you, let's establish an unrestricted fund. Yep. Let's do that. And hey, guess what? If you establish an unrestricted fund right now, it's tripled.
Yeah. Perfect.
So it's even bigger unrestricted fund, and that's amazing. But just get with us. Call us. I always say, give us a call. You'll get the front desk, and they'll know where to get you, depending on the question.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that. One thing that I've just heard today is that community impact does not happen in isolation. It happens in partnerships like the one we talked about, the stories you shared, and the people who may hear this and get involved. So please do get involved. So thanks again for joining us today. It was such an honor to sit with you all.
Thank you for having us.
It's been great. So often it's virtual meetings, and this has been great.
People in real life.
Yes. All right, thanks, friends.
Thank you.
Community First Bank of Indiana is a member of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. Checking account offers are subject to change without notice. We reserve the right to substitute a gift of similar value.